Okay. In this session, we will learn about the basics of the MongoDB. That is, what is MongoDB and what are the formats for of the data which we can use in the MongoDB. And we will uh, get to know about how to use the queries in the MongoDB, basic queries of the MongoDB, and what is MongoDB. Okay. So, first of all, we will learn about what is MongoDB. Okay, so MongoDB is a NoSQL database that uses a document-oriented data model. So in case of MongoDB, it is also called as NoSQL type of database. In case of SQL, we are having the tables and the rows. In the format of the table and rows, we are using the data in case of SQL database. But here, this MongoDB is called as NoSQL database, and it uses a document-oriented data model. Document-oriented means, for example, we are storing the data in the JSON file. For example, JSON, we can create a document in the JSON format and we can upload. Okay, it is not a table-oriented or the row-oriented format. Okay. It is again designed to handle two types of data. One is unstructured data and semi-structured data. Now, what is meant by unstructured and semi-structured data that we will see in the next slides. So in case of SQL, we were having structured format, like the format was fixed, like primary key. We have one primary key in our table. Tables data is stored in the format of table and rows in case of SQL. But here, in case of MongoDB, we are not storing any data in the format of the table. Okay. So it uses semi-structured and unstructured, means there is no any structure for the data. That is called as unstructured data type. Okay. Or data. Now, what are the key points? It is open source available. The first thing, the MongoDB software, that is the database software, that will be freely available or the open source available. Next, it is having the flexible schema. Means, as like in SQL or Oracle, we were having the fixed schema. Like we have the tuples and we have primary key, we have foreign key. So the schema of the database was fixed. Means we cannot change the fixed pattern of the schema in case of SQL or Oracle. But here it is a flexible. The schema is flexible. Okay. Again, we have the horizontal scalability, like number of records which we are going to increase or number of attributes which we are going to add. So we have the flexibility in that case. That is, it is called as scalability. Means, for example, in the one record, I am using while entering the record of the student, I am using for the first record, I am using roll number, student name, and its year of passing. Okay. But in the second record, I can add one more attribute, that is his age. Okay. Student name, his roll number, his pass out year and age. So likewise, I can increase the number of attributes in my table instead of having the fixed number of attributes from the start. Okay, so that is called as horizontal scalability. For example, again, one example I will give here. That is, I am adding the data of a student or employee, we can say. We will take the employee here. Okay, okay. I am adding record of employee, and in the first record, I am entering the first employee's name, then first employee's serial number, his age, and his work. Okay, so this is my first record. In the second record, I thought to add the one more attribute, that is its address of the employee. So I can add it while entering in the second record. For example, I can increase one attribute as an address while inserting that particular second record. Okay, it is again having high performance as compared to the tabular databases. Okay, so these are some of the key points or the positive aspects of the MongoDB. Now, second, that is what is the difference between relational and non-relational databases? Okay, so RDBMS means what? We are having the fixed schema, as I told you, which are also called as SQL databases. So it consists of two types of schema. One is structure data in a table, that is rows and column, as I mentioned previously. And second, fixed schema, that is in MySQL, for example, MySQL and PostgreSQL. So they have the fixed schema. We cannot change the schema. Then non-relational database. What do you mean by non-relational database? That is MongoDB, for example. So here it is having flexible schema and data is stored in a key value pair normally. For example, key value means Key is nothing but the name and value is Geeta. That is the name of that particular person. So in this format, the data is stored. Again, we can store the data in the document format as well. We can store the data in the graph format as well. And we can store the data in the column family format. So these are the different formats in which we can store the data of the records. Okay, for example, MongoDB, Cassandra, and CouchDB. So these are the examples of the non-relational database, or we can say NoSQL databases. Okay, so now we will go forward for the MongoDB model. So what is present in the MongoDB actually? It consists of the data in the format of the JSON file. I will show you how the format of JSON file is there in the next slide. Okay, so it consists of, we can store the complex data like arrays and nested objects as well. Then again, whenever we are creating a new database, we will create one collection under that particular database. Okay, in case of SQL, we were preparing the tables, but here we are going to prepare the collections. That is called as collections. For example, I want to store the data of a student. So in that case, I will store the collection name as my collection name will be the student. So under that I will store the data. Okay. For example, I want to store the data of employee details. So my collection will be employee details under my database. Okay. So here we are considering it as a collection. So now some things about the non-SQL database or NoSQL database. So not only SQL are the category of a database flexible. It is against flexible, scalable, and distributed approach while retrieving and storing the data. Okay. Then, unlike the traditional databases, which rely on structured tables or the queries, these databases can store the unstructured, semi-structured, and structured data. All types of data that may be a structured, unstructured, or semi-structured, they will store. Okay. For example, as I have mentioned you, which type of data is stored here? Key value pair, column, wide column stores, graph, and the document format. Okay. So they are designed to handle a large volume of data of a diverse data type and scale horizontally according to the many server. Okay, so large amount of data can be stored in case of NoSQL databases, and we can handle it horizontally. Okay, now as I told you, the MongoDB storing three types of data. We can say unstructured, semi-structured, and structured. So what is meant by unstructured type of data? Now, so unstructured type of data is a textual or non-textual. Okay. So which is very difficult to categorize and organize. For example, web pages, images, videos, memos, then reports, Word documents, and the surveys. So these are the different unstructured type of data which are called as unstructured. Means they are not having fixed format. Okay. If we are considering the text documents, then we have emails, reports, and the articles. Multimedia file, then in that case, we have images, audios, and the videos. Okay. In case of social media contents, we have some posts, comments of the Facebook or Twitter or the tweets of the Twitter. Again, some web pages. So these are the variety of the data is called as unstructured data. Okay. So this type of data are going to store. Okay. In the unstructured data. Now, what is meant by semi-structured data? Semi-structured data, it is a type of data that is not purely structured. Okay. But also, again, it is not a completely unstructured. They are called as semi-structured type of data. So what are the sources of those types of data? These are the sources which I have enlisted over here. Email, some XML format, some binary executables, then TCP/IP packets, zip files, web pages, and integration of the data from the different sources. So these are the types of semi-structure. Means they are not purely structured, but they are having some fixed structure. For example, while considering the emails, we have the fixed structure of the emails that may differ according to the mail which you are going to say. Okay. Now, as I told you, document type of data means JSON format data. So this is a format which I have given over here. That is a JSON format. So you can see here, it consists of key value pair. For example, in this case, ID is a key and value is 1. Name is key, value is alive. Name, age is a key and 28 is a value. So in this way, for address, city, and district, I have mentioned over here the key and value pair. So this is a JSON format in which we are going to store the data in the MongoDB. Okay, so these are the curly bracket open and close. So this is a format for it. And then I have stored one array of hobbies, which consists of two hobbies, reading and cycling. So hobbies is a again key, and value is a reading and cycling. Okay, so this is about the format in which you can upload the data in the MongoDB. Now the next is what are the different operations which we are basic operations I will show you over here. In the next sessions, I will give some in deep operations. So this is the first operations once you have installed the MongoDB and the Mongo shell. So this is the first operation which you can add. First is create database. Okay, while creating the database, the format is like use MyDB. MyDB is the name of my database and use is a you can say command through which I can create a database. Okay. Now, under that database, I want to, as I told you previously, I want to enter some collection. Okay. So what is meant by collection again? The type of data which I am going to store under my database. So here, what is the syntax? That is db dot create collection and name of my collection in the bracket, double quote. Okay. So under this my db, I am storing the collection of a user. Okay. Here, in this case, I am storing the collection of a user. So this is a format for creating the database. Whenever you are going to create any database, you will create one collection under that particular database. Okay. Now, once you have created the collection, I want to add the data of the users, right? So what is the format? So here, this is a query for inserting the data of a users. So db dot users is my collection. Then you have to write db dot name of collection. Here in the first query, you can see db.users.insert1. So here, these queries are again case sensitive. If you will miss any capital or small, here O is capital, the O should be capital. If you will write the small, then it will give an error as it is a case sensitive. Okay. Then I want to insert the two different attributes. One is name and age. So this is a name, that is John, name of a particular person and age of a particular person. Okay. Again, the second entry I am going to add here, aligns. If I want to add the multiple entries, I will take those entries in the array format, that is in the square bracket. So you can insert a many entries at a time. So what is the query? That is db dot collection name, that is users dot insert many. Here we were using one, here many. So I have added these two records under the users collection. Okay. So this is a format for storing or inserting the data in the database or the collection which you have. So now I want to see like whether my data is getting added or not. So these are the queries. That is db.user.find. It will give you the all the records which you have stored under this user. So that will get displayed in your output. Then here I want to find out second query. That is I want to find out the employees or the users whose age are 30. So you have to write like this: db.query user means it is a collection name dot find. Then here the attribute for which you are going to search the data. Now you will get the records of the users whose age is 30 in the second case. Here in the first case, you will get the record of all users. Okay, so these are some basic queries. First, create database, then create a collection, then try to insert the data, and then find or search the data which you have inserted. Okay, so this is about the basic things of a MongoDB.